Hey everyone, how are we doing? I hope this finds you all very well. So somewhere that you will absolutely recognize. It's somewhere that you've come to know. It's somewhere that I've been visiting now for the last few weeks, and during the winter it's a place that I really get drawn back to. It almost has this magnetic pull, and especially, you know, this time of year when everything kind of quietens here, and in a way it's given back to the locals, it's returned back to the locals, and I find something very kind of special about that. And I love to visit it at different times of the day, because I find that at different times of the day it has a kind of very different feel to it. It has a different mood, so to speak. But what I love to do is either come here first thing in the morning or just before sunset, just before it gets dark. It just seems to have a very kind of unique and different quality to it, and I think that in many ways, you know, the mornings and the evenings, you know, as day turns to night and night turns to day, so to speak, they're gateways to our lives, you know. But really what I wanted to kind of share with you, let me show you, is the mood of the day here, how the lake is feeling today and showing itself. This is beautiful. So what I'm going to share with you is a couple kind of stories, some experiences, and also some of what I've really taken from things over this last week. So if you can, I really want you to try and picture this, is that we are dropping out of the Grampian Mountains. The Grampian Mountains are right up north in the Highlands of Scotland, and it's a really kind of remote wilderness, very, very rugged. In some ways it's empty, and some people kind of, you know, see it as a kind of empty wilderness, but for me, I really get kind of drawn to those environments that are very kind of wild, very kind of remote, very, very rugged. That emptiness kind of really speaks to me, you know, it speaks to a deep place within me, and I get very drawn to those environments, feel very very at home in them. So kind of picture that we're kind of in the Grampian Mountains, and we've kind of been pedaling away across them for days upon days upon days, and kind of these switchback narrow roads that kind of make their way and meander across these mountain ranges through this really remote environment. And they're literally, you know, there's very little there, but there's so much there, if that makes sense. So days upon days, and we are slowly heading towards a place called Callander. Now Callander is a small town on the edge of what they say is the edge of the Highlands. In so many ways it is the kind of boundary town between the Highlands, the uplands, and the lowlands, and beyond that, as you head south, you literally do say goodbye to the mountains, and everything begins to soften. It really does kind of just ease and soften. The landscape really does change. It goes from mountains to foothills to almost like kind of lowlands. It's a really kind of, it's a unique transition, and it's one that, you know, especially taken on a bike, you really kind of connect with. So kind of if you can picture us kind of dropping out of the Highlands, we're dropping quite fast out of the Highlands into Callander, which the road into Callander, it just meanders along, and either side you've got the mountain, you've got these beautiful pine forests, and we spent some time there at Callander, and you know, for us both it was quite an emotional experience, because you knew that as you pedalled forwards you were leaving the mountains behind you. So kind of picture this, we leave Callander after spending some time there, sharing some of the stories of our experiences, and we had a bite to eat, and we literally kind of move our way along. And there's a photograph that I've put up on many times on Spirit Meets Adventure of me pushing my bike up this huge climb. That was leaving Callander. So you can picture it, you kind of feel it. You can imagine it. And there we are, approaching the last part of the mountain range. That as you go over that ridge, you do drop into the lowlands. You actually drop into a place that's called the Shire. I'll see if I can find the photos, and I'll put the photos up. A place called the Shire, which was, that made me smile, made us smile when you go across these unique footbridges, but they're made for cyclists. A really really surreal place, kind of very dreamy. Anyway, we're making our way along, and we stop, and I kind of look ahead and I look up and I look towards Sarah, and I say to her, "So where now? What way are we going?" And she smiles and looks at me and she says, "Forwards." And we both stare up at this huge climb ahead of us. In the end, the only direction we can go is forwards. And I think to myself, okay, so I start pedaling, and it gets to a point where I jump off the bike and I'm literally pushing the bike up. I would say it's probably 17-18% climb, fully panniered, fully laden, bike packing kit, everything we need, everything I need on my bike, so quite some weight to it. And kind of over this last week, I've been very aware within the consultations that I've been doing, and this remarkable young man that I met who had gone through this life-changing accident. Broke both of his legs, broke his arm, and the journey that he has absolutely undertaken, and the complexities to that journey with what happened at that time, it's huge. And meeting him and spending time with him, it kind of reminds us that so often we come across those huge mountains, and I've always kind of taken from those experiences that if you can't pedal, then you walk, and if you can't walk, you kind of crawl. But all the time it's about moving forwards. And I know that Martin Luther King wrote this beautiful quote, and I think that it's kind of very apt to life, that sometimes we can't run, or I think the quote says, if you can't fly, you walk; if you can't walk, you crawl; if you can't crawl, you kind of drag yourself, but all the time you keep moving forwards. And I think that no matter sometimes what we kind of face, it's all about trying to kind of find that kind of determination, or that strength, that kind of that will inside of us to keep moving forwards. And sometimes, quite often, I think, always, is that the only direction that we can take is moving forwards. And as much as you might see that actually, I'm kind of moving backwards, actually you'll find that given time, you're actually moving forwards. Because quite often when we're kind of moving backwards, there's something within that experience that potentially we can grow from, we can learn from. The Innate says that it's almost as if it's fertilizer from the soul. It's from those experiences that we absolutely grow the most. And those are very, very powerful experiences that quite often really realign us. And some of my kind of belief about this is that the Innate has always kind of said to me that when things seem to be falling apart, actually in fact they are realigning and they're falling into place. And at times that is a huge gift, even if it doesn't feel like it at that point in time, that is enabling you to wipe the slate clean, to really start over and to do things differently. You know, you can't change what's gone on behind you, but what you can change is what's in front of you and what you do as you move forwards, as you go forwards. You know, I'm a kind of, you know, believer from the conversations I've had with my really close friends, my dear friends from the Innate as well, is that, you know, when we kind of look back and we say, you know, I made that mistake, or I've done that wrong, or I kind of really mucked up with that and I made the biggest mistake, is that, you know, try to kind of draw the gold or extract the goodness from those experiences. And you know, when you're kind of facing those huge challenges and you're facing that kind of mountain, is to kind of remember that, you know, if I can't fly up there, I run up there. If I can't run up there, I'm going to walk up there. If I can't walk up there, I'm going to crawl up there. It's just always about moving forwards, and you know, sometimes we can, I believe, in a way move ourselves backwards, because what we do is we run from the growth. You know, the thing is with growth, as I said many times, growth can be kind of very scary. So sometimes we can kind of run back from that, and go back to what we know, because we're fearful and we're allowing our mind to take over. The thing is, you know, one of the things that I come to kind of really think about a lot is, the thing is with the mind, you're dealing with software, if you like, that has been hardwired for survival. So what it does is always keep searching for what is wrong, and what it can do is absolutely illuminate that. And what we've got to do is kind of somehow get in there, break the chain in the software, start to rewire that hardware and start to reprogram it in a way. And how we kind of do with that is sometimes is the language we use, the way we approach it, the way we kind of, the conversations that we have literally with ourselves, which is, do you know what, is, I know that this change is right for me, I know that this is the right decision, but it scares the out of me. So what I'm saying is, I don't know, but actually that's fear talking, it's the brain talking, it's the mind talking, because it's running that survival software. And actually what we need to try to do is go, do you know what, I know what I need to do, I know that deep down inside this is right, but it's scaring me. And you watch the mind quieten down, you watch it just soften. You know, it's about having those kind of honest conversations and beginning to kind of break that, and sometimes, you know, it is about just kind of stopping and going, okay, so I can't run up that hill, so I'm going to walk up it, and in my case I couldn't pedal up it, but you know what, I walked up it. But the important thing is I got there, and nowadays I probably could ride up that hill, you know. So it's all progressive. I'm going to leave that with you, and as I say, a lot of that was kind of brought on from the conversation and the shared time with a remarkable young man that, you know, has really had to kind of reevaluate life and where he finds himself. And you know, he is, you know, he's back on his feet, and it's slow but sure, but you know, there's always a gift in the exchanges that you have and the experiences you have. I'm going to leave that with you. Have a lovely day, guys. Speak soon. Take care. Bye bye.